Okay, hello, Senior 2. This is our online session. Today is the day of grammar lesson. We have a grammar lesson, important grammar lesson. Let's share the booklet. This is the lesson. This one, it's grammar of unit 3. Okay, this is the beginning of the lesson. Okay, verb patterns. Verb patterns. Okay, what verb pattern? Patterns means types. So we talk here about types of verbs. Okay, the form of here we have many types of verb forms. Let's take them one after another, discuss them in details. The form of the gerund. The gerund is an ing form. It can be simple or perfect, active or passive. So here we talk about gerund form, ing form, simple, ing form, perfect, active or passive. Let's see the examples. Simple gerund, it's writing, so simple. We add ing to the verb. Okay, what about the passive? It's being written. Being written. Being is the passive of for the verb like writing, and written is the past participle of the verb write. So being written, that something is being written. The letter is being written. The email is being written. The exam is being written. So this is the passive form of verb writing. Okay, what about the perfect gerund? Perfect gerund. Perfect means have or has plus past participle all the time. So perfect gerund here means have or has the idea of perfect plus the idea of gerund. What's the idea of gerund? It's ing form. So what happens when we add the perfect have or has plus ing form? It will be having written. Having written. This is have, and we add ing to have, which is the word of the perfect, and we write as well the past participle of the verb. So having been, so having written. What about the passive of having written? Having been written. So having written and having been written. Note the changes in spelling when forming the simple gerund. Okay, read will be reading, study, studying, grow, growing, and so on. Let's, it's easy for you how to change, to write to remove the last letter and to add ing, to remove the y, and to remove the ie, and make them y and add ing next to the y, and so on. This is easy for senior 2. In the negative, note, in the negative, not usually comes before the gerund. Okay, here we say there is no point in applying for the grant. There is no point in not applying for the grant. So in the negative, not usually comes before the gerund. So number one is a good sentence. There is no point in applying for the grant. But sentence number two is strange. We don't say that. We don't use that. We don't say there is no point in not applying for the grant. No. Okay, so it's only for positive form. In some cases, the verb in the main clause is negative, not the gerund. Okay, the verb in the main clause is negative, not the gerund. I like getting up early. I don't like getting up early. So here, the verb in the main clause is negative. I don't like. I like. I don't like. Okay, and getting takes the ing. As the gerund has no tense, it does not itself indicate the time. So this is important. The gerund doesn't refer a certain tense. So we can decide the tense according to the form of gerund or gerund form. No, it's not useful to give us tense. It doesn't itself indicate the time of the action that it refers to. However, it can show whether this time is the same as or earlier than the time of the verb in the main clause. So if the time is the same time or before only, but we don't know exactly when. Simple gerund, the simple gerund can refer to the same time as that of the verb in the main clause. I hate arguing with you. Arguing refers to the same time as I hate. So hate and arguing are happening at the same time. I hate arguing with you. That means at the time of arguing, I don't like that. Okay, this is the meaning. Okay, arguing refers to the same time as hate. I hate when we argue. This is the meaning. I hate arguing with you means I hate when we argue, whenever we argue. Okay, so Tom suggested going back to our tense. Going refer to the same time as suggested. Tom suggested that we should go back to our tense. That's the meaning. Tom suggested going back to our tense means Tom suggested that we should go back to our tense. The simple gerund can also refer to a time before that of the verb in the main clause, a time before. So underline here, note the word before. I don't remember saying anything like that. I don't remember saying. Saying refers to a time before, don't remember. I don't remember that I said anything like that. This is the meaning. So I don't remember saying that. If I say to you this sentence, I don't remember saying that. Here I mean that you accuse me or you tell me that I said something in the past, but I don't remember it now. I don't remember that I said something like that. She regretted not studying harder when she was at school. She regretted not studying. So what happened? She regretted. So regretted what? Not studying. So according to the sentence, she didn't study first. Then she regretted not being studied her lessons. Not studying refers to a time before regretted. She regretted that she hadn't studied harder when he was at school, or he. Okay, perfect gerund. The perfect gerund refers to a time before that of the verb in the main clause. However, it's only used if the time of the action expressed by the gerund is not obvious from the context. So we use perfect gerund when the action of the gerund is not obvious from the context. What should we do here? The verb in the main clause. So before that of the verb in the main clause, however, it's only used, the only case we use perfect gerund is when we talk about a time of action expressed by a gerund is not clear, is not obvious, like the meaning, the sentence here. He denied being married. The simple gerund being refers to the same time as denied. He denied that he was married. He denied, this is the same time he denied being married, that he wants to say that he is not married now. Okay, so he denies that he is not married now at all. So this is the same time. He denied having been married. The perfect gerund here, having been, refers to a time before denied. He denied that he hadn't been married. So if he denies being married, so he wants to say, I am not married now. If we say he denied having been married, that he wants to that one we want to say that he denies now that he was married before. Okay, so deny is for the present, to having been married is for the past. It's clear that an earlier time is meant. We use the simple gerund. When we mean earlier time, we use simple gerund. He denied stealing the car. He denied that he had stolen the car. Okay, so here this is for the order. We know that past perfect, had stolen, is for action. An action happened in the past before another. So he denied stealing the car. That he denied that he had stolen the car. The action of stealing the car happened before the denial. Okay, what about passive gerunds? Passive forms are also possible. We can use the gerund in the form of passive. Was passive when we don't mention the door or mention it at the end of the sentence, start with the object as the door is clear, is known, is not important to be mentioned, and so on. Okay, let's read the sentence. I hate being lied to. I hate being lied to. Passive simple gerund. This simple gerund, being lied, being plus past participle. Okay, but this is in a passive form. Okay, so we use being lied to. The meaning here, I hate when people lie to me. I hate being lied to means I hate when people lie to me. Okay, he complained of having been unjustly accused. He complained of having been unjustly accused. This is passive perfect gerund. Perfect gerund because having been, have ing plus past participle been, having been, this is perfect gerund. But here it is in the passive form, having been accused. Okay, he complained that they had unjustly accused him. The forms of the infinitive. So this is the second part of the lesson. The first part of the lesson, we talked about the forms of gerund, uh, perfect gerund and simple gerund, active form and passive form. Now we are going to talk about or discuss the forms of the infinitive. Okay, an infinitive can be to infinitive or bare infinitive. So we have two types of infinitive form. Infinitive with to, we call it to infinitive, and infinitive without to, we call it bare infinitive. Okay, so she let him go. Okay, verb like go here. I didn't say she let him to go. I said let him go. Let go. This is the bare infinitive without to before the verb go. Why? Because we have let, and let, after let there's always a bare infinitive. Other types of to infinitive is, there are many. He wanted to play, they preferred to eat fish, they recommended to go to the theater, and so on. Here this is the common one, or much more examples when we compare them. Here where we are. Yes, I ought to call them. I ought to. Ought to. This is to infinitive. Why we say ought? After ought must say to, and the verb after to is in the infinitive form. Ought to call. And the negative not usually comes before the infinitive. I ought not to call them. This is not common to happen. We don't say that. Oughtn't to call him? No. But we say I ought to call him. Ought to is like should. I should call him. Of course, no to. I shouldn't. Here, the negative form is in its correct place. Should and shouldn't. But we never say I ought not to call him. I had better not call him. The same, had better call him, not to call. Without negative form is not common here. In some cases, the verb in the main clause is negative, not the infinitive. I want to call him, or negative form, I don't want to call him. As the infinitive has no tense, it does not itself indicate the time. So again, infinitive form is not a tense, so it doesn't indicate time. So we can decide according to the infinitive to call, to study, to play. Bare infinitive, play, study, call, they don't indicate any time. However, it can have aspect which shows the temporal relationship between the action expressed by the infinitive and the time of the preceding verb. There are four types of infinitive, each of which has an active and passive form. So how many types of infinitive form? We have four types. Okay, in each four types, we have active form and passive form. So these are the four main types of the passive of the infinitive form: simple infinitive, continuous infinitive, perfect infinitive, perfect continuous infinitive. Okay, all of them we can express them in the active form, and all of them can be expressed in the passive form. So we have simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous infinitive. Okay, let's go to another video so I can upload this to the YouTube. Then we share the same link again to continue.